Hey guys, it's Kyra and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I will be sharing with you guys makeup hacks that I believe every makeup lover should know and should be using to kind of correct a couple issues. So the hacks I'll be sharing with you guys are really easy hacks. They're not those crazy Instagram hacks like with, you know, using a spoon and a knife and food and all kind of stuff. No, it's like usable everyday hacks that I believe could honestly help anyone who's struggling with certain areas, like maybe, you know, oily brows or oily lids, or, you know, larger pores or laugh lines, smaller lips, things like that, that I feel like are really easy to fix. And also the hacks that I'm using involve products that are laying around your house. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. The first thing I want to talk about, you guys, is oily brows, and this is one that I actually get asked about quite often. Actually, I'm gonna do brows and laugh lines. They kind of have the same hack. My first hack for oily brows is to use a brow primer. Now, I don't think that there's, well, there probably is somewhere out there, but I like to use a clear eyeshadow primer to apply to my brows and also to laugh lines. Now, you may say, like, Kyra, that sounds crazy. Why would I apply a primer to my brows and to my laugh lines? But the reason is, I mean, think about the purpose of a primer. Primer is there to help prevent smudging, prevent creasing, and etc. And so on your brows, first of all, if you apply it to your brows, it gives your brows a really nice matte base to apply product to. So if you lightly apply some primer to your brows and give it about 30 seconds for it to dry completely, your brows will be nice and matte. And if you do suffer from oily eyes, it's going to help to mattify that. So you see already, see how my brows now have no more shine, no more oiliness around there. So it's nice and matte, and the brow hairs are also set in place. Now, the primer that I'm using is actually a drugstore primer. It's the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Eyeshadow Primer. And I love this one because this primer actually dries clear. So you definitely want to be careful with what kind of primer you want to use. For example, I would never use my MAC Lay and Low Paint Pot because A, it's not clear, and also it's a little bit creamy and kind of just sits there. You want a primer like this one, or also the Urban Decay eyeshadow primer. Both of those are really good ones. Of course, I recommend the Wet n Wild because it's drugstore, but both of those are really good primers that dry invisible. And then also, you can also use this primer to apply to your laugh line. There is, not that I have found, there is no way to completely remove and completely prevent laugh lines. Like, if you have them, you have them. Now, the key right there is to kind of go ahead and push the laugh line out with your tongue, like this, and then set that. So again, if you guys can see, there's like a nice layer or a nice kind of film over that area. So whenever I apply foundation, powder, etc., it'll have something to lay on top of, as opposed to laying right into that crease right there. Now, I don't do this very often. I typically will only do it like if I have like a full glam event, you know, maybe like a wedding or something like that, where I have to have makeup on for a long period of time and I want to look flawless the entire time. I'll do this, but honestly, I've kind of just accepted my laugh lines. I mean, I still hate them, but whenever they pop up, I don't really complain about, you know, but you guys get what I'm saying, like, I've accepted them. So now that our brows have kind of set in place, and actually, like, right now, my brows feel nice. Well, first of all, they're matte. If you guys can see, there's like a layer over the brow, and also, as you can see, my hairs are really nice and stiff. If you have problems with your hair staying in place all day, this is also a good hack for that as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill in my brows real quick with the L'Oreal Brow House Definer and the shade Brunette, and I'll be right back with the next step. Alright guys, so my brows are done. I just went ahead and filled them in and carved them out like usual. My next hack isn't really a hack, but it is a tip. So you guys know that I love to use my MAC Lay and Low Paint Pot, but I also know that not everyone has the money to go ahead and go out and splurge on an expensive eyeshadow base like that, but everyone should have concealer, right? So another good tip is to go ahead and use your concealer as your eyeshadow base. Now, what I do is I'll just take my MAC concealer. This is the MAC Studio Finish Concealer in the shade NC42, and just gonna apply this all over my lid, and I'm just using a soft, small stippling brush. Now, of course, you guys know that we always want to apply eyeshadow base. That's so important. Whether it be concealer, an actual primer, like whatever it is, you want to put something down before you apply eyeshadow. Like, that's just like a golden rule, just because you want to have something to, first of all, help to color correct and even out that base or that skin tone there. And also you want to have something for your eyeshadow to stick to, so that way it won't crease and budge and move throughout the day. So again, I just used the concealer, and so I went ahead and done that. The next hack that I have is to go ahead and apply a light layer of translucent powder on top of that concealer. Now this can go on top of concealer or on top of an actual eyeshadow base or eyeshadow primer. I have noticed that whenever I apply translucent powder on top of either the paint pot or concealer or whatever, my eyeshadow blends out so much easier. So this hack, the translucent powder on top of the eyeshadow base or eyeshadow primer or concealer or whatever you're using, it is so good with helping to blend out your eyeshadow. So if you ever find yourself struggling with blending, go ahead and try out an invisible powder on top of your eyeshadow base and see how that works, and it should really help with the ease of blending. Okay guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how well my eyeshadow blends out whenever I do apply a translucent powder on top of my eyeshadow. So I'm taking the Juvia's Place Saharan palette, and I'm taking the shade Katsina with a Morphe M433 brush. It's applying it to the outer portion of my lid and blending it out. But you see how already, like with very little work, it already looks blended and blown out, if that makes sense. See that already? Like very, very little work, but it's just applying and blending out so easy. All right, you guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave my eyes alone for right now. I'm gonna go ahead and jump onto the skin. My next skin hack is going to be to help combat larger pores. Now, you guys know that I typically love to use my Becca Ever Matte Primer. I love it. But one really, really huge way to combat larger pores is to apply, again, a light invisible powder to the pore area. Now I know, like, I think it's it that makes the bye-bye pores, whatever it's called. It's like a light powder that you apply there as well. I have found that my RCMA no color powder works as well in that area. So I'm gonna go ahead and first apply a thin layer of the Becca. The Becca to me is more so for mattifying. It honestly, in my opinion, does not do a good job at all of actually minimizing pores. It's really just for oil control. But the powder is really good for minimizing pores. Now I want to note also, you guys, that these hacks are really, first of all, they're everyday hacks, and honestly the whole point of me sharing these hacks is for those of you guys who honestly don't have the money to go ahead and splurge on all these products. I really want to show you guys multiple ways to use one product, if that makes sense. So we're already at 3 ways to use the RCMA no color powder. I'm gonna take that same small stippling brush I used to apply the powder to my eyelids, and just apply it lightly where my pores are the largest, and that is like down here in this little pocket. Like, for some reason, all my pores are so huge there. And you guys, if you see that in the camera, instantly my pores started to vanish. Now again, I will say the same thing with my lash lines. I have accepted my large pores. I mean, I still hate them, and I still, you know, do what I can to fix them, but this isn't a hack that I would do every day. Again, this would be more so for a more formal event where I want to look flawless, you know, completely flawless, you know, throughout the day. So my next hack is one that I think is perfect for this time of year, and that is how to achieve that dewy look with a foundation that you already have at your house that may be more mattifying. So if you're an oily girl, you probably tend to navigate more towards mattifying foundations. But I think that, like, during the spring and summer, I feel like naturally people want to look nice and glowy, right? But you may not want to go out and buy, you know, an expensive glowy or dewy foundation. So one way to combat that is to take an existing foundation that you have. I'm going to be using the Maybelline Superstay. Now this is a drugstore one. It's full coverage, y'all, and it is super mattifying. But if I didn't have my other plethora of foundations and I just had this one, but I wanted to achieve that dewy look, one way to combat it is to apply a couple drops of oil into your foundation, okay? So basically what I'll do is I'll take the foundation, apply about 4 pumps in the back of my hand. I may need more later on, but you know, we'll start from here. And I'm gonna take my Skin Science Hydrating Face Serum that I showed you guys in my faves video, because I have been loving this one. And basically just apply a couple drops into this foundation. And basically what this does is, first of all, it helps to kind of thin out and sheer out that foundation. So this foundation does tend to be a little bit more like not heavy, but it's definitely really full coverage and full duty. And so applying a hint of oil into that foundation helps to thin it out and apply just a nice, I don't know, a nice kind of like glowy finish, if that makes sense. So instead of it being really full coverage, it'll look a lot more dewy. And you can even, before you blend it out, apply a couple drops of that same oil to your skin. So I'm gonna do it here in a second once I kind of smooth this all over. Okay, so take that oil, apply a couple drops. Okay, take your cookie brush, spray a little bit of Fix Plus, and then go ahead and blend it out. And you can see already, see how it's giving me a bit of a dewier finish as opposed to that super matte finish like it normally does. It's the oil. Yeah, like you guys see that? To see how it looks, like if I look in the, you know, like if I turn sides, you can see like the light reflecting into, you know, the foundation, and that's all from the oil. And I love this hack, you guys, because especially with this foundation, the oil doesn't mess with the coverage, it messes with the finish, if that makes sense. So I still get my full coverage that I like. You see it's still full coverage, okay? But it's the finish of it that changes. Alright guys, so another hack that I want to reiterate, you guys know that I do this step all the time, but I want to reshare it because technically it is a hack, and that is to go ahead and set my brows using mascara. For those of you guys who are new to my channel who don't know why I do it, honestly it's just my personal preference because of the look that it gives. Now you can use a traditional brow gel to help set your brows in place. I prefer mascara only because A, it sets my brow hairs in place, and also it gives my hair a very natural look. The reason why is because whenever I apply the mascara to my brow hairs, it actually helps to define my brow hairs, so it makes them darker, and it creates the most natural like brow strokes. It's just, I love this step, and I've been doing this for years now. So I just take the L'Oreal Telescopic Mascara, okay, and then just very lightly with the lightest hand, I go over the hair. Now the key here is that I'm not focusing on like applying it to the actual skin, if that makes sense. Like I'm really just focusing this brush or this applicator on the brow hairs themselves, because the whole point is to define and set those brow hairs, right? So look at my brow here that I just applied it to. Okay, you see how the brow hairs are nice and defined, and then over here my brow looks flat because there's no dimension, right? It's just all one shade, it's just all flat. So once I go ahead and apply the mascara to the brow hairs, it adds dimension and makes those natural brow hairs pop. Yeah, it makes a huge difference. Okay, and then my last tack is going to be my lips. So lately I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but I have been playing with the way that I line my lips lately, and I have honestly been loving them. So I have been lightly or slightly overlining my lips, but it's the way that I do it that makes it look natural, if that makes sense. So I don't go ahead and make a whole line outside of my natural, you know, lip line. I don't do that. That looks crazy to me. You can always tell. It just looks ridiculous. But what I do, I'll try to explain it as I'm doing it. Okay, so basically what I do is I start the line right along my natural lip line, okay? And then as I bring it up to maybe like about here, I'll start to like slightly go above or outside of the lip line, okay? And I do that on the top and the bottom. So I'm gonna show you guys. Now here's my natural lip line, right? So start here, okay? Follow the line to about here. And then here, I start to kind of go a little outside the line. So here's the line. I'm gonna go right outside of it. Okay, so you see the line ends here, and I want to just smidge it outside of there. I'm gonna follow that line all the way around. So naturally my lip line goes like inwards here, and then my lip line stops like right up in here. But on this side I went a little bit above to create a little bit more definition and just a little bit more oomph. So it gives me a lot more space to work with. So again, follow the line about halfway up. Okay, and then lightly go outside the line. Okay, and then I do the exact same thing on the bottom half of my lips, except of course I follow the line, my natural line, you know, about halfway down, and then down here I'll go outside the line and bring the lip liner a little bit below this line here. Follow the line down, okay, and then halfway down go outside the line. See? So now I have a nice pop right there. So see here, there's like nothing, like my natural line ends here. The lip liner is down here. You see that? Alright y'all, and that is how I line my lips. Like, it's really, really simple, really easy. It takes practice because it's really easy to take it overboard. And like for me, like right now, my lips look natural. Like this looks like they're a natural shape. Even though it is just a smidgen over line, it still looks natural. So that's what I do, my personal preference lately, and I've been loving doing this. And also, I love the bit of dimension that I have down here. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish off my eyes, change my clothes, and I'll be right back with the final look. Alrighty guys, so after you guys have gone ahead and popped on some falsies, touch up your eye makeup, and set your makeup and all that good stuff, here is the final look. To be honest, you guys, this is like hands down my favorite go-to looks for this time of year. I love copper, bronze, and golden tones for spring and summer. I just naturally gravitate towards them, and like whenever I have no idea what to do, this is what I do. I hope that you guys enjoyed my everyday, real life, usable makeup hacks that I personally feel like makes applying makeup not only 10 times easier, but also makes your makeup look 10 times more flawless. So like even right now, like I am in shock of like how smooth and how minimized my pores look. They are basically like non-existent, which is exactly what we want. My brows look bomb. The eyeshadow blended out really well with that hack. My lips look nice and pouty, which I feel like you can never go wrong with like full pouty lips. Everything else looks really good, and my skin looks, I mean, again, it's full coverage, but it has a bit of a dewy finish that I really love. So I hope you guys enjoyed my everyday usable makeup hacks, and I also hope that you guys enjoyed this makeup tutorial as well. If you guys did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and also subscribe to my channel and join the Kyra Knox family if you haven't already, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye guys.